Our next speaker is Dr. Sheena Mason. Sheena earned her PhD in English literature from Howard University in Washington, D.C., and promptly joined the faculty at SUNY I'm going to butcher the pronunciation here. Oneonta, thank you. As an assistant professor in English. Her first book, Theory of Racelessness, A Case for Anti-Racism, presents an alternative philosophy of race and the theory of racelessness, an analytical and teaching framework for understanding race and stopping racism and its effects. Inspired by her theory, she co-founded Theory of Racelessness, an educational firm that helps people use alternative philosophies of race and her theory to truly achieve truly anti-racist outcomes. The Theory of Racelessness helps more people undo racism by undoing the belief in race. Sheena?
Thank you so much. So as I'm listening to Amiel, I'm also thinking about what am I going to say when the spotlight is on me? Because I didn't prepare notes, so I'm going to wing it. As they say, I'm going to improvise to borrow from jazz.
Much better phrase.
First, before I say anything else, I want to invite each of you to step into your racelessness, to see yourselves not as white, to see yourselves not as Asian, or as Black, or as some combination thereof, or as something else entirely. I want you, as we continue this panel, to really sit in that, to do the radical thing of recognizing yourself outside of the framework that race ideology and racism creates for every single one of us. And I invite you to see yourself outside of this framework, because a lot of what I've heard, and a word that somebody used earlier, a lot of what I've heard from folks is erasure. You feel erased in a lot of ways. And part of that erasure comes from the imposition of race ideology, which we've been talking about consistently, limits and precludes more people from seeing themselves fully and from seeing the humanity that is inherent and inborn to every single human being. And it is the practice of racializing oneself and other people that actually encourages the sort of pernicious divisions that we continue to be experiencing and combating today together, which I'm so grateful for. Something Amiel said was this desire and need to uproot the biological belief, the belief that race is biological, right? With my theory of racelessness, it goes further than that. That's part of it, certainly. There are people still who believe that race is biological and that it's meaningful. But even as a social construction, I contend with that imposition as well, because there are three different ways that each of us can look at race. And we can view it as biological, a construction, or as not existing at all, without any disclaimers. And what people who often say they're constructionists, what they often do is say race doesn't exist. And they think that that's saying the same thing as race doesn't exist, right? But what they mean is race doesn't exist in biology, but it exists as a social construction. And I disagree strongly based on my research and my own experiences and observations of the world that we live in. And if we can help more people disbelieve in race as a meaningful category altogether and stop conflating what we think of as race with biology, with skin color, with how we look, with our ancestry, our DNA, stop conflating it with culture, stop conflating it with ethnicity or social and economic class. It's a tall order, but if we can help more people stop that conflation, we can help more people see what we share, we can help more people stop believing and presupposing differences amongst themselves and people who don't, quote, look like them, that don't actually always exist, right? And we can start to organize and coalesce around all that we share, the richness of the human experience, as it were. But that takes effort, and it takes filling in some knowledge gaps that a lot of people have. But fortunately, I'm doing it, and I'm not alone. and we can do it. And every single one of us in this room benefits from this. It's not just about freeing so-called white people from their so-called whiteness. It's about freeing every single one of us from the strictures that limits our own human capabilities and potential. Thank you very much.
I think she had notes.
Lower expectations.
Flew over them, right.
Speaking next will be Mr. Greg Thomas.